Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Jim Morris interview this past Monday. That story is literally one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, and you guys didn't even get to really hear too much of his backstory in terms of when he first went and played baseball. He had a lot of different shoulder surgeries, and there was a doctor that literally told him, he mentioned this real quick, there was a doctor that told him he would never pitch and never throw a baseball again, and for him to go from throwing 88 miles per hour at about that time to throwing anywhere from 98 to 102 is what he maxed out at one pitch is just unbelievable. It's a miracle, and he talks a lot about faith, and I loved when he talked about his terrible relationship with his father. I like that he opened up about it. It was absolutely tragic that he had that terrible of a relationship with his father, because I just know how good of a relationship that I have with my father and how meaningful that is to me. And for somebody to not have that sort of fatherhood or have that person in their life to be able to show them the way is just unbelievable. He showed him the way in the way that he didn't want to be. But I really liked his relationship with his grandparents. It was super moving, and they had such a big role in his life. But let's go ahead and get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is remember who you are and whose you are. He didn't like to expand too much on the whose you are because of the faith thing, and he said he doesn't like to talk about that too much when he talks to a secular crowd. But remember who you are is just so important, because he learned that lesson from his grandfather, that when you go out in the world, you're not just representing yourself. You're representing your loved ones, your family, your friends, any kind of group that you're associated with. You are representing those group of people. So don't be so selfish in thinking that whatever you do is only going to affect yourself. Know that you're going to affect the people that you love, you're also going to affect the people that are not even in your life yet, but they will come. So for me personally, everything that I do now is going to affect my kids that I have down the road. And I actually have this written on my whiteboard. Your children will be held accountable for your actions that you do today. And that keeps me motivated to make sure that I'm staying on the right course, doing the right things, acting with honesty, acting with integrity day in and day out, because I know that my actions are so much bigger than just me. They're everybody that loves me and everybody that supports me. And I really like the quote that his grandfather told him, and that changed kind of his perspective on things. He said, treat everyone the way you'd want your grandmother to be treated, because that's one of the most people in my life that I know that I treat with the most love, with the most care, and with the most affection. So if you can do that with as many people as possible, then who knows what kind of relationships that you can build. Number 2 is don't be your own worst enemy. He talked about how he used to talk himself down after bad experiences, but when he went back to college after he failed in baseball or didn't make it the first time around, it really helped him grow up and not doubt himself and realize that anything was possible, because he was kind of raised with a terrible fatherhood and parents that really didn't teach him that anything was possible. He had grandparents that kind of taught him that, but it's not just one of those things that you can get over really quickly. So he had a lot of times had this self-doubt and didn't think that anything was possible. But when he went to college, when he got an education, and when he was taught that he could get skills and experiences that could allow him to really accomplish anything, that's when he got out of being his own worst enemy, and that's when he could start seeing improvements and start being successful in his life and then further on in his baseball career and his coaching career. Number 3 is go down swinging. I mean, I feel like that should have almost been the name of the episode with Jim Morris, because at 35 years old, he could have so easily failed at that baseball tryout, but he would have never known had he not gone for it. And that's the whole idea behind go down swinging. Don't have regrets. Try it out. Who cares if you fail? It doesn't define who you are. Who you are is defined by your honesty, your integrity, how you treat people, kind of like what we were talking about in takeaway number 1. You only have one life. And time is going to be your own worst enemy, especially as we get older and older. Time is ticking. You have one life. If you have dreams, if you have something that you want to go do, don't push it off. Go get it done, as long as it's in your future self's own best interest, right? You don't want to necessarily just put things in the present, because if you don't think about your future self, then your future self could be angry about the decisions that you made in the past. So you don't necessarily want to, there's a fine line in terms of being in the present, but you still want to attack goals and you want to attack dreams and you want to start pursuing those sorts of things. So again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1, remember who you are and whose you are. Don't be selfish in thinking that every act that you do is only going to affect you. It's going to affect your loved ones, the groups, and different people that you're associated with. Number 2 is don't be your own worst enemy. Find some kind of way to build your own belief, build your own confidence that anything is possible, and that when you do bad things, don't put yourself down. build yourself up as much as you can and realize that anything can be possible if you just learn from those negative experiences. Number 3 is go down swinging. Don't have regrets. Try it out. If you have goals, if you have dreams, start pursuing them. You have one life. Time is ticking. Go out there and go for it. I hope you guys really loved this interview with Jim Morris. I thought he was so moving, so inspiring. I loved all his stories, from his negative relationship with his father to his positive relationship with his grandparents to his coaching days, and just so much motivation, so much inspiration and tactical steps that you guys can start to apply to get closer and closer to your best you.